Welcome, SlyVinyl radio listeners around the world. Joining us today is a member of one of the most important groups of the early internet scene, an act that can only be described as a pioneer in many of the techniques that we see in modern electronic, hip-hop, beatmaking, cloud rap, lo-fi, and more today. FRIENDZONE's very own Dylan Reznick.
Hey, it's nice to be here.
Joining us also today is SlyVinyl's own Dave Hampton.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be here, too.
And I am your host, Eric Hughes. So, Dylan, it has been a while. You have been kind of under the radar as of late, but today we are going to be talking about SlyVinyl's exclusive vinyl release of FRIENDZONE's Collection 1. First off, we want to talk to you and get to know you a little bit more. Do you want to tell us about how you got into making music in general? Like, how early did you start picking up instruments? What was your first instrument, for example?
I played the piano first when I was like 10, and then I picked up the guitar when I was like 12. My dad was a musician, so there was always instruments around. I had lessons for a while, but I mostly just played a lot. I was in a bunch of rock bands in high school, or I was in like a shoegazer band, and I was in like a Explosions in the Sky sort of post-rock band. Then once I was out of high school, I was doing like more like psychedelic, like prog rock style music with like where I was playing synthesizers. It was kind of like battles or boredoms. My dad gave me a Pro Tools computer that his work like was getting rid of, and I learned Pro Tools when I was like 14. Before FRIENDZONE, I was doing like live bands and stuff. That was my first like laptop production. That's when I learned Ableton and started making music that way.
Not to get all Nardwar on you, but I knew that you were in a group called Religious Girls.
Right. That was the one, the psychedelic prog rock band. That's all the projects that I try to make projects that aren't easily summed up with a label, but that's as close as
that's how I would describe Religious Girls, man, for sure.
Again, it's not like Pink Floyd, but it's like Boredom's probably a good comparison.
For sure. Yeah.
Speaking of labels, FRIENDZONE seems to be, grouped into cloud rap quite often, but there is so much content from you guys that doesn't even come close to that.
Definitely.
What would you, so maybe it touches the realm of that from time to time, but like you said, you don't like working on a project where you can just pin down the genre or put a label on it. But really, if in your head, what do you consider FRIENDZONE?
I would definitely consider FRIENDZONE to be where we went out of our way to transcend genres, and you can't just say it is this because it's so many different things.
Absolutely.
Like a song like Major is not at all the same thing as something like Perfect Skies, for example.
Yeah.
But they can coexist on the same release, which is you guys kind of have that thread that makes it all work together.
Yeah. It's interesting how the album is extremely eclectic. Basically how we worked on that was because when we started out, we weren't even trying to make rap. We were like really into like Picture Plane and College, that band that later was on the Drive soundtrack.
Yep.
And we were into like M83, and we were into
early M83.
Yeah, their first album, not the new like U2 stuff.
Yeah. It's such a great record, though. That's a good inspiration for sure.
It was a masterpiece.
Yeah.
We both kind of came from like a shoegazy kind of background. We were both like really big My Bloody Valentine fans.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were originally thought we were going to be like an electronic project. Producing for hip hop was something that like only came later after we discovered Lil B's music. And it was like the most incredible thing I had ever. It was like the most inspiring thing that I'd come across in a really long time, because especially the way that Lil B works, like he has like hundreds of different producers, and he's just has like an inbox, people all over the world like send him beats, and he just goes through his inbox and just picks them out. And so like all kinds of people that we would meet like online, like I'd produce songs for Lil B, and then we're like, well, we could produce like for rappers. Because before that we could never like thought that, like we were both like really big hip hop fans, but we had never thought of ourselves like that we could actually like work in rap music until I saw what Lil B was doing. Then we really wanted to produce for Lil B, and he responded to us when we sent him beats, and like that he liked them. We never had a song with him. A few months later, then we found out about Main Attractions, and they were living nearby. Well, I guess Lil B also lived nearby, but Main Attractions, like we sent them some beats, and they hit us up. We told them that we had a studio, and then they started coming over to our house. And then we started just having sessions and recording stuff.
That's amazing. That's very DIY of you guys.
Yeah, so it was all like an in-house production, like because I went to like recording school and stuff, so I was basically the engineer, and I would just do sessions for Main Attractions, and I started doing like all their other stuff. Like I would record all their mixtapes for a while, and it was really cool.
Well, the relationship between you and Main Attractions seems so seamless. It seemed like you guys were meant for each other.
Yeah. Well, actually, Squatta, he produced a lot of the earlier Main Attractions stuff, where he was doing their own beats, and he was one of our biggest inspirations in terms of like he influenced the way that we make beats, like the way that he uses samples and he cuts them up so into such tiny slices, and it's I think he's one of the best producers on the planet, but he doesn't even want to identify as a producer. Like, he won't even let us. Like, we wanted to like put out like mixtapes and like have like all Squatta's instrumentals on them, but he wouldn't let us do that. He's like, I'm a rapper, not a producer.
Well, in Friend Zone, what were your strengths and what were James's strengths? Like that, what made y'all click together so well?
James was had he was very much like a vision sort of guy, where he would have like he would come up with like a concept, like with Perfect Skies, like he came to me with, he just had a bunch of loops set up, like of different sections of the song, and he had like a couple drum patterns, and then he would give it to me. I would take those parts and make like an arrangement out of it. And well, that one doesn't have anything except the samples and the drums, but on a typical song, like I would take the samples and loops that he would give me, I would make an arrangement of the song, and then I would do all the like synth and parts and add like leads and stuff. And then I would send it back to him. He would do and then he would like add extra drum fills and stuff, because he was better at the like fine details of he had a rule where he would say like yes or no to stuff. And because I kind of all over the place, like I could go in all kinds of directions with music, but he would be like, no, it needs to be like, we need to make it like this.
Yeah.
And
it's good discipline. I'm the same way as you. I kind of, it's hard for me to say no to anything. Just do it all.
Yeah. So I find so many different kinds of music like interesting. But James had like a really like he would also make all the like album covers and stuff. And he like had a really just like a good like mind for like having a vision for like the aesthetic. Like, what is it gonna be like made from, basically?
That leads me to a question I've been wanting to ask you for a while. What was it about Yukiko Okada that y'all wanted to put for the Collection 1 cover?
Oh, right. It was James's idea, and it's just it was just, he just had like this really haunting story, and then this picture was so like there's something so iconic about, like, she has so many photographs that are like that. Like
right.
I don't know if you guys know about the story behind Yukiko.
Oh yeah,
Okada.
I went down the rabbit hole, man. It's a crazy story. Tell us about it, man.
Oh, she was like a pop singer, like an idol in Japan, and she has this like, she seems like the most happiest, like sweetest girl, and but then one day when I think she was like only 18, and then she like was found, they like found her in her bedroom. She like slit her wrists, and then they tried to like save her, and then she jumped out the window and died.
Yeah.
And like nobody knows like why or what happened, and it's just like I don't know, it's just really intriguing.
Very, yeah.
Like
They said it was like unrequited love or something. She was in love with someone that wasn't in love with her.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Although
Yeah.
it's a pretty intense
Yeah.
reaction. But
Did that at all inspire the music in any way?
I mean, probably to some extent, but it's also, I think that it was chosen kind of because we felt like it reflected music in a way, or like yeah, it's just like it captured just kind of the atmosphere of what we were doing.
I agree.
But yeah, it was all kind of James's idea. He was the kind of guy who could have like all kinds of he'd have in mind for having just like ideas like that.
Well, while we were putting the actual physical release together, it was important to both you and us to, you know, keep that aesthetic and everything about that when we were having to basically recreate the image, because the original image couldn't exactly be printed on a full-size LP jacket without being, you know, completely over pixelated. And, you know, you had expressed to me that it was back when we first started, you know, communicating about this project, you had expressed to me about how it was James' vision, and even down to the font that was used.
Right.
So, you know, and those weren't exactly things that you had, you know, you didn't even have like you didn't necessarily have like the font name and stuff like that. So we, you know, did our due diligence to research and find like, oh no, you know, that R is not the same as that R, or, you know, so we wanted to honor that vision and carry it forward and maintain it.
You guys did a fantastic job.
Yeah, man. When in doubt, just go to Helvetica. You know, that's too.
And then the original photo that the album art comes from my research, I actually found the original photo in full color, and we changed it back to black and white, and, you know, changed the levels on it a little bit and everything, just to kind of try to get it as close to looking like that original photo as possible. But it originally came from a video special called Yukiko in Sweden, I believe it was, and it was the box cover art for that. And I was able to find the highest resolution version of that possible because I found some old blog where someone was taking high resolution scans of Laserdisc covers and putting it on. They had some sort of WordPress or some sort of blog set up, and you could download it in varying resolutions. And, you know, thanks to some Google foo and some just image search recognition, I just kind of went into these rabbit holes trying to find the original photo first, and just, you know, finding versions of it that looked okay. This looked a little bit higher resolution, maybe not. And then boom, I found this blog, and it was everything we needed to recreate and, put James's vision back in full LP size.
Detective
Wow.
Eric Hughes.
Oh, good job.
It was a very aha moment when I found it. I was I'm not gonna say I wasn't very pleased.
Yeah. Dylan, how long did collection 1 take to complete?
Well, the way that it was created was that we were working, like we had like this model for how we were going to promote ourselves was that we were going to release like every single song that we made as a single separately, and then we like one at a time. So we released like 20 singles over like maybe 2 years, and then we just chose our favorites from all those singles, and that's what the collection is a collection of. It's like a compilation of all those singles that we made.
And was collection 2 ever intended?
Collection 2 was definitely going to be our next release. It probably still will come out eventually. I was planning on putting it out a couple years ago, but I don't know. It got a little emotional. I think I wasn't really ready to do that yet. Maybe I'll get back onto it. Maybe I'll do that soon. I feel like I want to.
Yeah, a long time ago, the first message I ever sent to the Friend Zone Facebook page was in 2016. I didn't even know if it was like a fan page or if it was just I didn't know who I was reaching out to, and I was just like, hey. And then y'all were enthusiastic about it. I think y'all even mentioned at one point might be cool to do collection 2 on vinyl. So
Right.
One of those things. Keep it in the back burner, man. You never know.
I would love to do another release with you guys.
Oh
That'd
yeah,
be
man.
great. Yes, like we have, I have at least 4 hours worth of unreleased Friend Zone stuff that, like, so I was thinking that probably collection 2 will end up being like either like a triple disc release, or it would be like a released in like several volumes or something along those lines.
That's exciting, man. I love the idea that there's that much unreleased Friend Zone material.
There's a lot. There's like a huge amount, because we spent 3 years creating 808s and Dark Grapes 3, that album with Main Attractions, where we produced the entire thing. And the way that was like, the way the creation of that album worked was basically we were working nonstop, making tons of beats. Main Attractions would come over like 2 or 3 times a week, and we would do like 12-hour recording sessions, and they would just record over every single beat that we had. And they always insist on doing every single song like they do it freestyle in one take.
What?
Yeah, they won't write anything down, and it seemed to work, but it also ends up where like we, after 3 years of doing that, like doing that nonstop, we ended up with like at least 100 tracks we had finish. And then we and so out of all that, there's lots of unused stuff that has still not been released to this day. But like there's 2 more albums worth of like Main Attractions songs that if Main Attractions ever wanted to I would probably need their permission to put that stuff out. But there's like, we have like a whole other, like we actually completed the whole album worth of songs for 808s 3, and then they said that they were like they were just like, it's not good enough, and then we like started over and like recorded a whole nother album, and that's what we ended up eventually releasing. But the thing that we finished before that, I think, has like a ton of incredible songs, but they never wanted to put it out.
When did it start to feel there was some momentum, like in the ether, like people were starting to take notice?
We had some traction even before we started doing hip hop production, but once we started working with Main Attractions, especially when we put out Perfect Skies and Church, which was originally released as like a 2-song like single, like with the A and B side.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, that was not even going to be on 808s and Dark Grapes 2. They had like these like douchey managers at that time that like those guys, they told us that like our hi-hats are too loud, and they like didn't like our songs that we made with Main Attractions, and like he like just wanted Main Attractions just to work with like the producers that were like his friends or something. But then Mishka, the label that put that album out, like told them, oh no, you have to put Perfect Skies and Shush on this. Like you don't have a choice.
That's great.
And then
They made the right choice.
Yeah, it turned out like
did.
those two tracks had some of the biggest response out of that whole record, it seemed like. Leading up to Collection 1, we released like a new single like every month or 2 months, and that kept people paying attention. And by the time Collection 2 came out, a lot of people were paying attention. And also we did our Coochie Beer Network compilations where we had a bunch of other producers all come together. They're really beautiful albums.
You had 3 of those, right?
Yeah, there's 3. And
Yukiko Okada has a track on
yeah,
the first one. Yeah,
right. Like I think it's just being attached to like a buzzword like cloud rap. It seems to be like a really that's like the main utility that I think that these like words have, is that they're like a good promotional tool.
Sure.
Is that like people like are like, oh, cloud rap, and that finds you like all these. Really, it's like cloud rap, like like it really just means a bunch of artists that were all like related to each other and knew each other. It doesn't really mean anything about what it sounds like, really.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, vaguely it does. There's something, it's like maybe like a dreamy sort of aesthetic, or like, but that's kind of what our vision was that we kind of wanted to make like the rap equivalent of like a shoegazer music.
Since there's so many, like this was right around the time when vaporwave was really taking root too. Did anybody ever sort of lump you into that category?
I could see how their connection is there, and it's definitely people have called us that, and it makes sense.
Yeah,
like just because to me, all vaporwave really means is artists that are influenced by One O Tricks Point Never.
yeah.
And we were like One O Tricks Point Never is one of my favorite artists. So
absolutely, man.
That had an influence on me.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, we are vaporwave, I guess.
You heard it here first. No.
Well, yeah, I think Daniel Lopatin was putting out some of his earliest stuff that was considered vaporwave around 2010. And collection 1 is a 2012 release, right? So, very close together, just kind of burgeoning.
When we started out I was listening to that album Riffs a lot.
Yes.
It was very inspiring for me. And especially his like one of his side projects called The Games.
Yes.
Later turned into Ford and Lopatin. That was probably one of the biggest influences on like I wanted to have a project that's like this, or like the whole Hippos and Tanks label, all the artists that were on that, like
James Ferrero.
I found all that stuff like really inspiring, and that's what kind of all the stuff we were listening to at that time.
Yeah, the first Lopatin project I ever heard was Games, and then I discovered his YouTube channel Sunset Corp, and I was just like, what in God's name is this? This is amazing.
So amazing. Yeah. It was really inspirational stuff. I think he's kind of inspired a whole generation.
Have you ever met him?
He tweeted at us that he was listening to Collection 1 in the studio one time.
Nice.
That's my only interaction with him, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Yeah. yeah, getting stuff like that was very encouraging for us when we were starting out.
So, speaking of starting out, how did you and James actually first get together, and who came up with the name Friend Zone?
Well, when I first met James was when I was maybe 19, and I used to throw all of these noise like shows at my house in my living room, and a friend of mine asked if I could book his friend James, and James came and he did like this power electronics like laptop noise set at my house, and it was like brutal. And uh, and after that, I like he like lived in the town next door, like the next town over from where I lived, and so we were friends after that, and we were both kind of gigantic music nerds. Like nobody else we knew like listened to as much music as either we did. Like over the next like 4 years or so, I was in that band Religious Girls, and then once that band broke up, first I was like just making like ambient music and brooding at my house and just like I was like recording tons of stuff, and then James started hitting me up about starting a project, and then he taught me how to use Ableton, how to use the grid and stuff, and he came out to me with like a skeleton of the first track that we did, which is JD from our first single that we put out, and then we did the second track called ALL, and yeah, we would just get together at my house and sit around the laptop and like just talk about what the song was going to be, and then we would go back and forth, like send the sessions back and forth to each other. But yeah, that's how it started out. Was just James was like, okay, let's start a new project. Yeah, and like I didn't want to start like a live instrument band again, because I didn't want to deal with like a whole bunch of people. So it seemed like so much. It was really liberating because I had never made like electronic sequenced pre-programmed music before, and it was literally liberating because all of a sudden you don't need like a bunch of other musicians. It doesn't like you don't need somebody that like is like really proficient. If you want to have like a really complicated part, you can just like program it, and I felt like I could just like make anything.
Yeah, you guys were in control of everything, and it's evident. There's like no outside influence other than what you guys were into. It's evident in Collection 1 for sure.
Yeah.
I would equate, I mean, just to talk about the track Near, that was an important song for me, because songs like Perfect Skies and I Miss Y'all are immediately beautiful, and you love it immediately. But Near was really, really challenging. And when something like that hits my ears, my first instinction is to just kind of go like, I don't know if I like this. And now it's probably my favorite track on the entire collection. And a lot of your songs did that. Like I was very like, I don't know. I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what to think about it. And so I'd kind of skip to the ones that were more immediate. Right. But then you just always go back to those. And Near, my gosh, man, it just never gets old. I love that song, man.
Yeah, that and those tracks like that, I felt like were really special. Like it's kind of like that album Loveless by My Bloody Valentine, or maybe the first time you hear it sounds like just like a bunch of like weird, loud and like abrasive, but like they take the like abrasiveness to this level where it becomes really like beautiful.
I'm just so, I mean, this is insane that we're finally doing this on wax. This is awesome.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. I was really, really thrilled to look on your Instagram and see everybody freaking out. I was like, these are my people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it felt good to see how much support there still is. Because we never really make like music that is like outright commercial or like trendy in the obvious way, at least.
Right.
We were more interested in building like a gradually like a cult kind of following, sort of like like the Grateful Dead or something, where like their fans will like follow them on tour and go to all their shows. It feels good because those kind of people will stick with you and they like won't forget about you like in a couple of years. But like, who can even remember all the like chill wave bands that were exploding at that time when like
Yeah.
um
It feels funny just saying chill wave now. That's funny.
Right. That was like the huge trendy thing at the time. It was like cold cave and all this. It was weird because it was like all this like random crap and they just called it all chill wave.
Yeah, they called Ariel Pink chill wave. I was like,
Right.
that's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
it's so uncreative what they were doing. But I guess it clearly works as a marketing device.
Sure.
It seems to be like what genre names are really for.
How do you go from that mindset of like, you're obviously not trying to do something commercial to producing a song like Fashion Killer? Like, how did that happen?
Oh yeah, it's pretty interesting. Where well, part of it is that they added a lot of stuff onto it. The original instrumental is a lot more stark.
Okay.
But yeah, the way that we ended up working with them was that we were friends with ASAP Yams on this like Facebook group called The Wavery, that like where all these different rappers and stuff and all the producers like would all chat with each other. Everybody that was in that scene, like Space Ghost Perps and all those people.
Yes.
And all those rappers were all friends with each other, like Main Attractions, Rocky, Perp. And they would all like flew to New York and like we're all hanging out with each other. And then yeah, Yams hit us up for beats, and we sent them the Fashion Killer beat was the first track that we sent them, and we didn't hear back for like a year.
Whoa.
And yeah, and we were sending like, and so we sent like a whole bunch of other tracks over all that time, but then eventually they were like, no, we want to use that very first track that you sent us. They're like, we definitely are going to use that one.
Did things change dramatically when that happened? Like A$AP Rocky, I mean,
it was definitely like a huge thing. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Rihanna's on that freaking music video.
Yeah, that album was like it was number 1 on the Billboard charts.
It's insane.
Yeah, that was like when my dad finally stopped telling me to get a job.
That is perfect, man.
Yeah, like I remember when they first heard that playing on the local like R&B rap station in my car, and it was like, just the most transcendent experience to hear your own song like on the radio. It was like really crazy.
And it's not like you knew it was going to come up either. It probably surprised you, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't expect that.
That is wild, man. I love it.
It was very cool. Yeah, but I think we got to talk to Rocky like maybe once on the phone. And he told us that he loved the beat. I wanted to meet him in person. I almost did, but no, I still haven't met him to this day.
One day, man. One day.
Yeah, but it's like after that came out, then we started getting all these crazy offers, which like didn't even make sense. Like they asked us to produce for like Flo Rida and Missy Elliott and all this stuff.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, like we sent beats to them, and then like they didn't use any of them because our beats are way too weird, which obviously they are. Like, why would Flo Rida use one of our beats?
Yes. Oh, that's fantastic.
Have you heard a lot of that throughout the time though? Just people saying these beats are too weird for me.
It is very like delicate, and like only very certain rappers can even try to rap over it. Like the way that our beats sound, it's like it seems like it's very like too busy for most rappers. They're like, I don't know what to do over this. But like Main Attractions really specialized in that, where they could really rap over anything. And they Squad's own beats were kind of the same way, where they were like really dense samples and stuff. And like they would mix their like vocals like really low in the mix. That was another way where that was another thing that had like kind of a shoegazy sort of vibe to it. But really, it's like Main Attractions were like the kings of being able to rap over our beats. Nobody else. Other people, they could rap over some of our beats. They wouldn't be able to rap over like every single time like Main Attractions were.
Is there any chance that are you still trying to work with them solo?
I just recently sent a bunch of beats to Mondre.
Excellent.
Yeah. I've been meaning to start producing like new tracks again. It's just been a while.
Yeah.
I kind of had to get out of the scene for a minute. I just needed to like take couple years off. I felt like the music's so emotional for me at that point.
This is maybe like a Barbara Welters question, but like, why do you think people connect so much with Collection 1?
I mean, it was a really special time. Like we could never make that album like again. There's something intangible about it. I feel something when I listen to it that I don't feel when I listen to anything else. I guess that would explain why other people also might feel like that.
Absolutely, I agree. That's great. It's a good answer. It's an intangible thing for sure.
Yeah.
Intangible until now. Because we have produced the very first physical purely friend zone. Now I'm not talking about, obviously there's the Main Attractions and
Right.
other stuff has records and CDs and whatnot, but purely friend zone. You guys haven't put anything physical out ever, have you?
Right. Yeah, we basically felt like where there was talk of like putting out a CD or like a tape, but I just felt like what do we do? What was the point? You're just filling up landfills. Like it's just easier just to get the music, just make a zip file and put it on like MediaFire, and that's just how you distribute your album. It just makes more sense. Like,
so why the exception for vinyl then?
Well, like for example, with a CD you can just rip it to your computer.
Yeah.
Once you've done that, what is the CD
throw it
for?
away.
You throw it in the trash. It's like it's not like it looks nice. It's like a shitty jewel case. It's like really tiny. It's just crap, and it's like not environmentally friendly. It's just a waste, and I don't like just doing gimmicky nonsense. Like, and the same thing with like a cassette. Like, who even has a cassette player? Like
a lot of vaporwave people do.
Yeah,
right. Well, that's true. But it's like they don't even sell. Like, you'd have to if you have to like buy like a vintage one and like get it like fixed up, and like eventually like it'll get ripped apart. I guess some people probably consider the cassette sound like desirable, but
for that warpy. Yeah.
But I felt like vinyl is the only thing that would actually make sense as like if you're going to like have a physical release, because who's buying like a music on a physical medium? Like a collector,
right?
Like somebody who's actually into that. And because like the average music listener is just going to listen on Spotify. They're not going to put it on a vinyl record or use any physical medium at all. But if you are going to use a physical medium, it only makes sense to use vinyl. And vinyl, you can't like just rip it to your computer. It's legitimately analog, not digital. Like it does have kind of a different sound to it. And it's like you have the big beautiful album art. It's just like it's like a nice thing to like have, like just like, to have like on the shelf. Like it looks nice. You can show it to people.
Plus, it challenges your urge to like skip around.
Right. Yeah.
You can hear the whole thing from A to Z.
Yeah.
As it was intended. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes you really like experience it better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you actually focused on it because you actually like eventually you have to turn it over. You can't just like stop thinking about it.
Right.
Which I've done plenty of times.
You go, oh, and you run on over to the.
Why is there silence in my house?
Yeah. Dylan, you were able to actually get a couple copies of the record in hand already prior to the release. Tell us what you think. Did we do it justice?
You guys did a fantastic job. I think it's even nicer than the 808's vinyl release. Like you guys made really good choices on the different, like the clear one being the main one, and like that it goes perfectly with the whole with the cover with the minimalist aesthetic, but it's also has like a different vibe to it.
Yeah. So for the listeners out there, we did 3 different variants. The album art for collection 1 is purely black and white. So we wanted to keep that black, white, gray tone aesthetic when we were picking our 3 different variants. The deluxe variant, the Wax Mage variant, which is only limited to 25 copies, that one is the craziest one.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
the wonderful people at Gotta Groove Records and the Wax Mage team specifically just really knocked it out of the park. You can see in the middle there's just this kind of like white pearly, like almost ghost like sheet looking thing embedded in the middle. And on the edges you can see that there's kind of that like splatter effect, but if you look, it's actually split half and half. You've got this like black splatter on half and then a white splatter on the other half, but only around the rim, so you can kind of just I don't even know, it looks like this like crazy.
It looks like you're having an acid trip in like 1956 watching television. It's great.
Yeah, like are all of them like exactly the same, or is each one kind of more unique?
So the way the Wax Mage people make them is they're generally the same concept, but obviously since record pressing is a variable process, there may be slight differences between copy to copy, but in this particular run all 25 copies should be what we just described.
I feel like there's a little chaos involved.
Yeah,
slightly. Yeah,
it seems like there must be.
Yeah, we might even have to get a group shot of a couple of them together, but the one that I have open is exactly how I envisioned it when I ordered it. And they're really great about working with you and kind of helping you see like how we work together to get the final vision to across the finish line.
Eric just told him, give me something like Chlorine Mist. Can you do that for me?
maybe should we name that variant the Chlorine Mist variant? We can do
let it be so.
All right.
What do you think, Dylan?
All right, I approve.
All right. Whoever's listening to this, make sure that's what it says on Discogs.
There you go.
So that's just the deluxe variant. And then on top of that, we have 2 other variants, limited to 100 copies. We have the metallic silver splatter. It's a metallic silver base, which if you look at it, it looks really cool. It's not just like a regular gray. It's actually, kind of, it's got, you can tell it's like melted metal looking. And then on top of that, we had the black and white splatter. I think it puts a really cool effect down. And then 200 copies of what we're calling the ultra clear. It's not just a regular. Sometimes when you order a clear record, they kind of are a milky clear or just maybe even off white a little bit. But this thing looks like it's made from a window pane.
Yeah.
It's crisp. It's clean.
I've never seen a
And
record that looks like that before.
it looks really good, and I'm very pleased with the way they came out.
Yeah. This has got me this really got me into the zone too. Like I feel like I'm gonna put out a new album soon because this has gotten me like listening to all my old tracks.
That's awesome, man.
And it's because I've just been sitting on like a mountain of music, and I just haven't been. I've just been making tracks and then just putting them in an archive and just not doing anything with them. And just because I just haven't, like I've just been avoiding it, and just doing this project kind of made me just, especially with kind of music that I like to make, where I like to make music that's really blissful.
Mhm.
And the world is like really dark, I feel like right now.
Yeah.
But
and you want it to be genuine,
right. And but doing this and just seeing how much love that I've been getting from all the people in the world, and that people really care about what I've been doing, and it makes me feel like actually I need to get back to this. I need to put out a new record. I have multiple albums worth of material finished. I just
Man,
need to make a track list and just put it out.
I can't wait to hear some of this stuff, man, for real.
Yeah.
And you know what? The good news for you is that you have a lot of Friend Zone fans who feel the exact same. So be encouraged there.
Yeah.
That people want to hear what you have.
Right. And that's the other thing is I feel like, the least that I can do in this kind of a fucked up time is like at least bring something beautiful for people to enjoy so they can, like have something
man, that's awesome.
Nice in their lives. I think of like I should be a political activist or something so I can releasing music is so unimportant. I should get out there like protesting against these wars and all this crap. But I mean, all that's very important. But I forget how like art is very important in its own way. It's like a part of like it's like the essence of like what being like a human being is. And if we don't have that, like then we're like really fucked. Like we need to
absolutely.
Like, we need beauty in our lives. That is important. It's just as important as any like lots of other things. And this is like reminded me of that. This whole project.
That's it's an honor, man, to be talking to you about it.
Yeah, this whole thing has been great.
It has been an absolute pleasure working with you
guys as well. I would love to work with you guys on a future project for sure.
Send it our way. We are all ears.
SlyVinyl listeners, keep your ears to the grindstone. You never know what's going to happen.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. It has been so wonderful having you today. We wanted to, before we leave, give you the opportunity to give a shout out or let us know if there's anything you wanted to plug.
Well, my new project, Chlorine Mist, I haven't released it much in a little while, but people should be on the lookout. I think that I'm going to release something in the near future. Also, there's this singer from Singapore. She's called Yeule. She's like my favorite artist right now. I think everybody should check her out. I think she's amazing. It's Yeule. I saw her at a concert in Los Angeles. It was mesmerizing, really good.
Nice.
I'll definitely have to check her out.
That's a good. I'll absolutely check her out, man. And hey, shout out to Flo Rida while we're at it.
Yeah, shouts out to him.
We'll be putting links in the show notes for Chlorine Mist, Yeule, and Flo Rida. So go check them out, everybody.
That's right. It was awesome talking to you, Dylan. And I hope this honors James's legacy. I hope that you guys just are honored by it. We had such a great time making it for you guys.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.